What are the lies that you're hearing that disturb you most?
Oh my God, all of them. Got little girls trapped in the basement, helicopters over my house, trying to rescue someone that doesn't need rescuing because they're not in my house, handcuffing people, starving people. I have a harem, a cult. I don't even really know what a cult is, but I know I don't have one, you know.
Before the world knew him as a criminal, Kelly was a superstar, a music legend, a voice so powerful that people described it as a gift from heaven. He dominated the 90s and early 2000s like no other R&B artist. His songs topped charts, filled stadiums, and played at every wedding, every school dance, every radio station. To millions, he was an icon, a man who had survived poverty, pain, and trauma to become one of the most successful artists of his generation. But behind the fame, behind the smiling interviews and glamorous music videos, something much darker was growing. Something he tried to hide for years. A storm that would one day destroy everything he built. And the world had no idea how terrifying the truth really was. A childhood full of shadows. Kelly's childhood was not like the childhood of most superstars. He didn't grow up in luxury or comfort. Instead, he grew up surrounded by violence, fear, and secrets. In interviews years later, Kelly himself admitted that he was abused when he was a young boy. He said he didn't understand what was happening, and he didn't have anyone to protect him. This trauma shaped the rest of his life, created a darkness inside him, a wound that never healed. Many psychologists say childhood trauma, especially when untreated, can twist a person's understanding of relationships, power, and control. Kelly learned at a young age that secrets could be hidden, pain could be buried, and people who hurt you could get away with everything. That belief followed him into adulthood and became the foundation of his crimes. Fame gave him wings and a mask. When Kelly became famous, it felt like a miracle. He went from singing on street corners in Chicago to selling millions of albums. Fame gave him opportunities he never had before. Money, power, influence, and a massive fan base. But fame also gave him something far more dangerous, a mask. A mask that hid his true self. To the world, Kelly was the R&B king, a man who inspired others with emotional love songs. But behind closed doors, he built a life where he controlled everything and everyone around him. People who worked for him later said he treated his fame like a shield. He believed he was untouchable, that nobody would question him, nobody would dare expose him, because who would accuse a superstar loved by millions? This belief allowed his dark side to grow without limits. The first warning signs appeared long before the world took them seriously. In the mid-1990s, Kelly married the young R&B singer Aaliyah. She was only 15 years old. He was 27. The marriage certificate was forged to say she was older. For many fans, this should have been the first red flag. But the industry ignored it. His fans ignored it. The media ignored it. Nobody wanted to believe that their favorite artist could be capable of something so disturbing. So the story faded away. And because nobody held him accountable, Kelly grew bolder. He felt invincible. That early warning was a chance for the world to stop him. But instead, the world looked away. The hidden houses and controlled lives. As the years passed, unsettling stories began to emerge. Women who entered Kelly's inner circle later explained what went on inside his homes. They described a world of strict rules, complete control, and absolute silence. Every detail of their lives was monitored: what they ate, when they slept, where they went, who they spoke to. Some said they had to ask permission just to use the bathroom. They were isolated from their families, their phones taken away, their identities slowly erased. Kelly controlled what they wore, how they behaved, and even how they talked. Many were too scared to leave. Others didn't know how. Kelly built an environment where he acted like a king and expected total obedience. This wasn't a relationship, it was a cage disguised as love. The tape that shocked the world. In the early 2000s, the world finally caught its first real glimpse of Kelly's crimes. A disturbing video surfaced, showing him involved in acts that were impossible to defend. The video spread everywhere. The case went to court. The evidence was horrifying, and yet he was acquitted. Witnesses refused to testify. Families stayed silent. Some say they were pressured. Others say they were fearful. And once again, fame protected him. Kelly walked away free, but he learned the wrong lesson, that he could escape any consequences, that the world would always protect him because of his talent. And so his behavior grew even darker. The survivors who refused to be silent. Years later, everything began to change when survivors started speaking out. Women who had once been afraid found their strength. They gave interviews, wrote posts online, spoke to reporters, and shared their stories with the world. Their voices broke the silence that had protected Kelly for decades. These brave survivors described the fear, manipulation, and abuse they had suffered. They explained how Kelly used his fame to trap them, how he isolated them from their families, how he convinced them that nobody would believe them if they spoke out. But this time, the world listened, and their voices sparked a fire that could no longer be ignored. Surviving our Kelly Changes Everything. In 2019, the documentary series Surviving Our Kelly aired, and it changed everything. Millions of viewers watched the survivors tell their stories in heartbreaking detail. The world finally saw what had been hidden for so long. The reaction was explosive. Protests erupted. Radio stations pulled Kelly's music. The industry that once protected him started distancing itself. The documentary forced people to confront the truth, that Kelly's crimes were not rumors, not exaggerations, but real and horrifying. Overnight, his image shattered, and for the first time, he no longer seemed invincible. The arrest and the fall. After years of escaping justice, Kelly was finally arrested. The charges were massive: trafficking, exploitation, kidnapping, racketeering, conspiracy, and more. Prosecutors revealed decades of patterns, how he lured young women, groomed them, isolated them, and controlled them. The stories were chilling. The testimonies were overwhelming. And this time, the court didn't look away. After a long and emotional trial, Kelly was found guilty. He was sentenced to decades in prison. The superstar who once stood on the world's biggest stages was now behind bars. His empire collapsed. His fans disappeared. His fame couldn't save him anymore. The legacy of fear and lessons learned. Today, Kelly sits in prison, his career destroyed, his legacy tarnished forever. But the real story is not about his fall. It's about the survivors who stood up to him. Their voices forced the world to confront uncomfortable truths. They exposed how fame can hide darkness, how society often ignores victims, how powerful people can manipulate those around them. Kelly's story is terrifying not just because of what he did, but because of how long he got away with it. It shows how charm can hide cruelty, how talent can hide danger, and how silence can allow monsters to grow. His rise and fall is a warning, a reminder that evil can wear a beautiful mask. Outro. And that is the dark life of Kelly, one of the most disturbing stories in modern music history. A superstar who became a criminal, a legend who became a warning. His story teaches us that pain buried in childhood can grow into something terrifying, that fame can hide the truth, and that sometimes the people we admire the most can be hiding the darkest secrets. If you want more true stories like this, subscribe to Heartfelt Tales and stay tuned. More shocking stories are coming soon.